Hi tubers, welcome back for another adventure. So now that I have this home, I did some research on it, and just to refresh your memories, this was my $300 barn find quad, all-terrain vehicle, whatever you want to call it. It is known as, when it was sold by Tractor Supply, as a Manco Talon. According to the VIN number, it is a 2002. It also, at some point, wore a Yamaha or a Yamaha slash Linhai badge, and it was known as a Bighorn 260. It's also been sold under a couple of different numbers. 8260, which is the two-wheel drive, which would be this one, or 8264, which would be the four-wheel drive. So I don't know if we want to call this a Bighorn or a Talon, a Linhai, a Yamaha, a Manco. And you know, looking at it, it does have some things that are a little bit like the way Polaris did them. This is a transmission that is separate from the engine. They actually separate. You can unbolt them. And the transmission is driven by torque converter. Kind of, you know. And I've seen that on some of the Polaris stuff. So, anyway, that's its pedigree, if you consider it pedigree. The little bit I've you know, climbed around it and so forth, it appears to be very, very well made. I mean, look at those front struts, and I mean, just look at the way they did this whole wheel and wheel bearing assembly and so forth. I mean, it's a very heavy quad, and according to the specifications, it weighs over 600 pounds, and I believe it because I really can't lift it, barely. Even lowering it down, and you know, it's up there. I don't think it's 650 pounds, but it's heavy, and even dragging it or whatever, it's very heavy. They used a lot of metal on all this stuff. So now that we've gotten that trivia over with, I told you guys that a couple of things concerned me about it. First of all, the radiator concerned me. I thought it needed antifreeze, so I attempted to put some in there, and hopefully you guys are going to be able to see this. And you guys, hopefully, yeah. It really didn't need any. It took like 2 drops to fill up that airspace. So that's a good thing. The radiator has something in it. And I think if it had water in it, it would have cracked one of the plastic fittings and dumped it all out by now. I'm not saying it doesn't need the fluid, the antifreeze doesn't need to be changed, but at this moment it appears to be safe, so to speak, and you know, it appears to be holding radiator fluid. That's a very good thing. The second thing I checked was the oil, and I'm checking the oil for 2 things, and I don't know if you guys could see it, but it goes to about here, so it's about mid-level. I'm checking the oil for 2 things. First of all, I'm checking it to see that there's some in there, right? It's not a good thing to attempt to do anything on a quad if there's no oil in it. Secondly, I'm checking to see what it looks like, and it actually looks very clean. And lastly, I'm checking to see if it looks like it's got antifreeze in it. A lot of times if there's antifreeze in the oil, it goes milky. You would know, you know, as you pull the stick out. If it's full of antifreeze, there wouldn't be any surprise. As a matter of fact, if it was full of antifreeze, it would probably be overfull. So the good signs, right? So far I'm happy and getting a little happier with this thing. I'm also happy that the transmission separates from the engine, which means should this engine truly turn out to be no good, I only have to drive the input of the transmission. And it wouldn't be trivial to squeak an engine underneath there, but I can I think I could do that a little easier, even if I have to modify the frame or whatever. So should this engine turn out to be no good, I can still drive the transmission, which drives the whole quad. Then I have forward and reverse and the whole bit, and I'm happy about that. The last thing that was concerning me was the compression. And, you know, I put the compression gauge on there, and let's turn it over. I'll shut up so you guys can hear. So I think you guys could see that. Give it another couple of whirls. So it says it has 180 psi of compression. I don't think it has quite that good a compression, but it does seem to have compression, which means the engine's probably sound, right? If it's not leaking radiator antifreeze and it has compression, now it's just a matter of getting a carburetor on it. Well, and we got a bit of a situation here with that. I don't know, could you guys see this? So I need an intake manifold. It's snapped right off. Somebody taped it on. So I need an intake manifold. And things aren't turning on the carburetor, and it's a constant velocity carburetor. You know, one of those things that as you get a vacuum, it lifts the slide up. So it does need some parts to go further. It also needs a battery. I can kind of hold off on that for a little while. So let's talk about the Tally. I paid $300 for it. The carburetor with the intake manifold is another 62 or 63, and the battery will probably burn up at least another, you know, 38 or 40 bucks. So I'm going to be at 400 for this thing. You know, it took like 2 drops of antifreeze, so we can't count that. But you know, as you look it over, right, I basically found nothing wrong, right? A carburetor and an intake manifold and a battery, right? That's really pretty trivial problems. And I've already put $100 on this thing. For me, once again, I want it. I want to own it. I want it automatic, on and on and on. But just as one is, you know, who has a budget and who's working on this kind of stuff, just to kind of give you an idea of where this whole thing is going. I really can't fake that intake manifold. I mean, at this point it's completely torn off, and that carburetor really seems to be somewhat of a mess. I never even smelled the gas on this thing. I wonder how the gas is. It does seem to have gas in it, but gas actually smells good. So I think I'm gonna order the carburetor and intake manifold. I'll hold on the battery for the time being. And there's a couple of batteries floating around here that really need to get popped into something before they go bad from just sitting around. So that's how we'll do the battery thing. So I guess I'm to the point where I have to order parts. Now that we know that this is a Manco Manco Talon or a Linhai bighorn, or a Yamaha bighorn, or whatever the heck we want to call it, depending on as you hop around the globe. Anybody who has anything that's known as that, if they want to fill me in on some information, I'd love to have it. So I guess that about covers it. Anyway, folks, I want to thank everybody for watching this. Remember to keep your feet down, keep your heads up, and get out there and enjoy each and every day. Bye now.